Hello, everybody. This is Yoko's Anime Reactions, and this is going to be my review for Black Clover episodes 61 to 62. So 61, 62, and 63. Oh boy. Episode 63 is nuts, if I am being completely honest. But we haven't gotten to that point, but once I do get to that point, I'm just going to say, awesome fight ahead. But Mars realizes that Fauna was his friend that he had thought he had killed all that way back when they were kids. I have got to start taking notes on certain things, or else I'm going to be completely clueless when something from the past, a past episode, pops up. Like, for example, I think episode 10 was when we actually saw not only Rebecca and her family, but we also saw Gray's true form that first time, but we didn't know it at the time. Even Austin noticed her because she ran into a building. I don't know what it was for, but yeah. Then again, like I said, this show just has so many plot points, and you get to see characters later on that you thought were just, random people in the crowd having more interaction with Austin than the others. But yeah, somehow Fauna survived. I don't really. Could somebody explain how she managed to survive? Because I know she has that flame recovery magic, but I don't think that would bring her back to life. The doctor mentioned something about Phoenix magic, but I don't know if that's like an advanced form of her fire magic. I assume that's what it is. But it seems like they tore both grimoires apart and then stitched them back together because Fauna has the same kind of spell book that Mars has. So I guess they took the grimoires of the two strongest and stitched them together to try and make them stronger, I guess, and it kind of worked. But yeah. And Fauna decides that if she can't win, she's gonna take everybody with her. Just like Veto tried to do before. However, this time we don't have Yami to help at this time. And it's probably for the best because he'd probably just do the same thing he did and kill her. But we don't want her to die, obviously, because she is Mars' friend and there's a chance they could get her back. And Mars realizes this once he sees that it's her and tries to get her to realize what's going on, essentially, that she is his friend and that she's probably being controlled. And she actually was, because later on, she mentions that she couldn't remember anything from when she died in that training to now, essentially. So everything in the past years has been a blank for her. But yeah, thankfully, obviously Asta is the only one who can really stop the self-destruct at this point because of his anti-magic. But he's going to need to get close enough. And Mars ain't going nowhere. He's going to try and get his friend back. And thanks to his own recovery magic, he's able to keep him and himself and Asta from, becoming burnt to a crisp. And thankfully Asta was able to stop it. And Mars was somehow able to get her back to her senses at this point. And when that happens, the third eye on her forehead disappears. I mean, it doesn't just close, it disintegrates, essentially. So, yeah, Fauna is now back to normal. When I first saw Fauna back in the cave when Yami was fighting Licht, I had no clue that was the same girl. I had no clue. Because I figured that his friend was dead, just like he thought. And, sadly, the fighting is not done yet. As everybody gets to know is obviously exhausted at this point. I'm assuming that Fauna has used up all her magic, or most of her magic at this point. Because she tries to heal Mars, and she can't do it. But Lardros decides to show back up again. He wasn't dead after all. Or incapacitated at this point. And Asta has to fight him because the others obviously can't at this point. They're all exhausted, essentially. And thankfully, Asta's able to get a lucky shot by throwing his anti-magic sword and getting him in the chest. Not chest as in, damage to any vital organs or anything, but enough to where it pierces the skin and starts draining his magic, because that's what the anti-magic sword does. It drains the magic of whoever it touches and dispels any spells that are active on the person it's touching. So if anybody has any magic effects on them, it would dissipate them, essentially. And Lardros tries to get Asta to take it out. Obviously, Asta's not stupid. He might be, nice to a fault, but he is not stupid. He knows, he essentially states that I am not going to do that because if I do, you're going to attack me. And I'm like, yes, Asta is learning. He's learning from past enemies that would essentially have backstabbed him had he done that. And, he finally gets the sword out on his own, and, I think he's almost completely drained of magic at this point, if not drained at all. And so he decides to attack Mars to try and get at Fauna, because she still has some magic. And she gets angry, obviously, that her friend was getting hurt. And to save him, she attacks him with her magic, and that obviously he absorbs it. So now just about everybody is out cold except for Noelle, Vanessa. Who else is conscious at this point? Fonzel was conscious at this point. Domina and Mariella aren't even around the area at this point. They're still in the forest with the others, so they aren't, involved in this. And Asta receives what appears to be a fatal wound at this point, because in his mind it gets all really trippy and crazy, and the queen decides that this is the good time to release the limits on his abilities. And because she thinks that he's apparently some kind of part of some kind of race that allows him to wield the sword. Because anybody else who wields that sword would have their mana drained out of them, but not Asta, because he doesn't have any magic. And the anti-magic that's inside him, inside the sword, now fills his entire body, essentially. And it comes forth as a form of like a demon or a devil or something, and tries to get him to let it control him, essentially. And they would work together. Obviously, the whole deal with the devil thing. And Asta being Asta, he obviously says no deal, he would be in control, because he knows that if he doesn't, his friends could get in trouble, essentially. So he does have that power, and it looks kind of similar to what happens with Meliodas when he's going demon, essentially. Except instead of dark purple eyes, it's one red eye. Like, his right side has the red eye, and his other eye is green, essentially. And after this comes one of the most amazing and crazy fights I have ever seen in this show so far. And that's saying something. Asta kicks the crap out of Lardros in this episode with that new power. And we see that he actually is in control of himself at this point, because Lardros asks him to kill him because he didn't want to live at this point. But obviously Asta tells him, heck no, I'm not going to kill you. But the queen ends up showing up at this point. Having, obviously, he had already defeated the guy. And Asta, being the nice guy that he is, he asks her if she would please heal the others because, they're exhausted at this point. And I was like, Asta, I wouldn't ask that of her because that's asking a little too much. And it turns out that she's only doing all this because she wants Asta's anti-magic. And the only way she can get it is by she transferred apparently some of her blood into him when she did her healing magic before, and now she controls him like a puppet. And she plans on having him kill everybody else there, and be her puppet essentially. Oh boy. But yeah, this fight was insane. Asta's awesome. And like I said, he's always been awesome, but he's even more awesome, to be honest. Anyway, I'll get this uploaded, and I'm actually not going to upload it just yet. I'm going to get at least one video recorded, and then I'll upload it. I think I might do the Familiar of Zero. Anyway, I will see everybody next time.